Well, Jake, this has got to be like the quickest turnaround I think I've had on a podcast. We got in contact last night, and then here you are this morning on the show. Usually, that's a little bit too quick of a turnaround for me because I'm talking to people often that I don't know a lot about the subject, like whether that be psychedelics or sports psychology or something like that. But you speak a language that I'm pretty comfortable with, that language being suffering and pain and enjoying that. And speaking of suffering, you just completed running across a state.
Yeah.
Running across South Carolina.
Biggest goal yet.
How was that? And what inspired you to do that?
Well, basically, there's these guys, Ryan Cass and Ed Martin, and there's this park here. It's called Hampton Park. It's a 1 mile loop. It's kind of where all the runners in Charleston go. And I was training for an ultra. I didn't really know which one. And then Ed brought up that he was running across the state. And I just, in that moment, was like, can I do it? And he was like, yeah. So I just segued from, doing a 100-mile ultra prep into a 200-mile ultra prep, kind of doubling down on mileage, getting some double runs in. And then on top of that, we also raised $20,000 for cancer. So not only we get to tackle an amazing goal of running across the state, but also, raising a bunch of money for a good cause.
That's awesome. When was that conversation? Like, when did you decide you were going to do it to actually doing it?
Maybe like
how much time did you have?
Two-ish months ago. So my prep wasn't as long as I'd want it to be. So it definitely made the hurt, a little bit more intense on that back end. Because furthest I've ever ran, it was a 100-mile race. So having an extra 100 miles of uncharted territory was pretty fucking scary. But we got it done, and I mean, I'm very shot. The feet are fucked up, knees are fucked up.
Yeah,
we're just feeling it.
When did you finish?
We finished 2 mornings ago. So it took a little over maybe like 3 days and a couple hours. We finished like early in the morning. It was pitch black, cold. It was, but it was nice, getting back. Like you start in the middle of, bumfuck, like close to North Carolina, and then you start to see some stuff with like Charleston. You're like, okay, like we're kind of back home. And I was hoping that I'd start to see. They took a weird route that I never took, so I was hoping, 5 miles out, I'd be like, oh, I recognize this, I recognize that. I didn't start to see anything until like 2 miles. I'm just like, dude, get me out of here. I'm done. I'm cooked.
Did you do any sleeping, or was it straight through?
Yeah, we did an hour the first day, I believe 2 hours the second day, and then 3 hours the last day. There was a point, and I'm sure we'll get into it, where I was just hallucinating, and the shit that I was seeing was not there. So that was a good time to, get a 3-hour nap, drink some Red Bull, and then I was back to kicking, which was nice.
How many 100 milers have you done before you did this 200? Or how many long distance runs have you done prior to this one?
I did my first 100 miler last September. That was the Miami 100 miler. I was trying to qualify. If you win that one, you qualify for Badwater. So obviously, like most runners, you want to win a race. So I went into that, came in 10th place. Wasn't my best race. It was like 106, like 110 degrees. So I just couldn't keep up with electrolytes. Still super stoked on how I did with that. And then segued into my next race, which was a 12-hour race, the Delirium. And then I came 3rd place there. That was around 73 miles in 12 hours. So with that, that's where it was like, it's like, like the hybrid space, you like want to kind of do everything. And then I just kind of figured out after that was like, all right, well, if I did 73 in 12 hours, what's really stopping me from, going sub 18, sub 17, 100 miler and really making a name for myself in the ultra space, winning some of those. That kind of solidified, the big confidence boost going into a 200. But that's been like, and then I think my longest round of prep was, obviously the 73, but also a 40 miler that we just did on this like 2.5 mile bridge here, just like back and forth. That was boring as hell, but it's the stuff that you got to do. But that's all been like this past year and a half. So this past year and a half, I really just segued away from marathons, Ironmans, and just really focusing on making this my sport.
Okay, cool. So not a lot of time, like not years and years of your underneath your belt of these long distance ultra running, and then just doubling at 100 miles straight to 2. What was something that surprised you about the race, maybe in difficulty or in ease, that you weren't expecting?
I think the pain level, like I knew like after 100, like what it's gonna hurt like, and I think the most surprising thing was I put a lot of miles on my body throughout this prep, so hitting 100, I was actually like fresh, like I felt good around 100. Like I had second wind, everything was nice. But I guess the surprising thing was just the pain that came after that. Like anything after 150,
Mm.
like every step was just like ow, 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 ow. And then to think that you got like a whole 50 miles, 2 marathons on that, like that was a pain that I think I'll remember forever. I'm still feeling it, days later.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I did so the longest I've ran is of 50 miles.
Yeah.
I did that a couple months ago, and I did an Ironman 70.3
Saw
like
that. Yeah.
2 weeks before that.
Oh, God.
2 weeks before that, and then I went straight into the 50 miles, and the longest I had ever ran prior to that 50 miler was that 13.1
No
in the
way.
Ironman 70.3. So I definitely was just I was obviously it's not 200 miles, but once I crossed like that 19-mile mark, I'm heavier.
Yeah.
I'm not built for traditionally for running. I'm trying to cycle more into that,
Hmm.
but I got a lot of extra muscle. So I'm usually weighing around 200,
Oh,
205.
yeah.
And so my knees hit the 19-mile mark, and my knees and my outside of my left knee specifically just started like blowing up. So then I was just eating like topical Tylenol cream on it and like eating ibuprofen
God.
just to make sure my knees went
Hmm.
well. That was not something that I was expecting. Was there any specific things on this race for you, like pain points physically? Like, was it like the outside of your foot, or like did you chafe somewhere you weren't expecting?
Yeah. So there was probably, I could be telling him like five. The first thing that went was the chafing. That
Okay.
in the ass, it turns into hamburger meat. Like that was brutal. So, I had my boys like putting lube on toilet paper. It was pretty raw. And then, my foot went, it just felt like it was broken for like over 100 miles. My left knee, I still like when I get up out of bed, it feels like there's a crack down the middle of it, hoping that that's just like some sort of pain, not injury. And then, at some point, like my hip, like I don't know like what the muscle is there, but like right next to my left butt cheek was just like it felt like a tear in a sense. So there was a point where had both my arms around two of my buddies and just stretching up like that while just
Mm.
walking. It literally like every step felt like it was tearing, and that was pretty brutal. But I think with these ultras too, it's like you go in expecting a pain, like it could be anything, like running anything marathon plus. Like you go in expecting like this is gonna hurt, but you're like you never really understand how bad that shit's gonna hurt. Like it is all time, and it just feels like it's never gonna end.
I mean, speaking of that, like when those pains start to settle in and when it feels dark, when it feels like, you're in that dark spot where it's like, oh, why do I do this? Why am I
Hmm.
putting myself through this? What are you thinking? Like, are you ever thinking of quitting, stopping? Like, what's in your
No,
mind at that point?
I never. We are filming a documentary right now, and one of the main points with that was like when I was a younger kid, I was not the best kid. Like I got in a good amount of trouble. Um, it took me. I mean, I never did good in school. Like parents were always worried. Like I was doing drugs, so I wasn't the best. You know, influence on my siblings or really the best kid. But around I would say maybe when I was 22, I got very very into fitness and started posting on social media, starting to build some confidence in myself. And my Mimi, and this is like probably the main point of the documentary. She was like my biggest supporter in the entire world. Like she loved what I was doing. She loved that I was happy. Like for her, watching your grandkids, like when you're just like in a home, like that's like your Super Bowl. So
Mhm.
she was obsessed with what I was doing, and um, this was probably my first ever big competition. I was doing a bodybuilding show, and so excited for her to be able to be there. And she ended up passing away about 3 days before that. And my life literally went like I had a wake, funeral. Next day I was competing, and then from there on out, just like getting through that, competing, doing it for her, I just developed the mentality of like just do it for Mimi. So with these races and everything like that, like I have this big stack of voicemails from her, telling that she's proud of me. Voicemail when I hit 100K on Instagram, like just like all like these just like very heartfelt messages from her. So what I do during these races when I'm at like these absolute just lowest points that you could possibly be in, I just toss these AirPods in and I just listen to her speak to me, and it pulls me out of like those ruts that you just can't even pull yourself out of. Like she literally from
Right.
above just pulls me out of that shit, and it gives me a second win. Like even during my last race, the 73 miler, I was looking at my splits, and whenever I'd be like pain cave, like you would see on my splits because I'd be running a 940, 945, and then you just start seeing like eights or 810s, and like that was every time I listened to her. and it was a 1.7 mile loop. So, whenever I needed it, I would just come back in, listen to her for 20 seconds, go. And I'd just be running, crying. So for me, it's like I quit a lot when I was younger. And then now with her, like, having that with me, like if I want to quit, I just can't, because I want to make her proud.
Hmm. That's that's powerful. It's hard to find a better motivator or a better impetus to keep going than something like that. Something
100%.
that pulls you along for the sake of that memory and the sake of that person. That's really cool. Does it apply? Do you find yourself applying that to things outside of fitness as well?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think that like I grew up in a town. It's called Westfield. It's like very lacrosse town. You wear the polos, you do
Hmm.
the lacrosse thing, you go to college, you get a job from a dad's friend. It's very a linear path. And she always like when I was at with her, I was always myself. Not the facade that you put on when you're around a bunch of lax kids. So like she always loved just me being me. So with social media, like at first, when I start posting, it's like, oh, everybody wants to be Nick Bear, Start posting like Nick Bear,
Hmm.
blah blah. And then like the second I started like really being me, that's kind of when everything changed. So like the big thing that I'm very proud of is just being very unapologetically myself. And I kind of learned that from her because, it made her happy and it definitely makes me happy. You go through life and one thing that I've really implemented is, I mean, I don't know if it's selfish or not, but do what you want, do it how you want to do it. Don't give a flying fuck what anybody thinks and be you. And if they
Hmm.
don't like you for that, then fuck them. So a big thing with me is just consistently be unapologetically myself. And, I have a small group of friends and they're all very unapologetically themselves. And that to me, that's all I think anyone needs. And that's all I need.
I started listening to podcasts back in early 2016. And since then, I've listened to a lot of episodes and I've covered a lot of ground. And I always get asked, hey, what's your favorite show? What's your favorite episode? So I made a list. I made a list of the 10 most impactful episodes I've listened to over the 9+ years, and it's completely for free. You can find that in the description of this episode or on my Instagram in my bio. And I hope you find those episodes as enjoyable and impactful as I did, because they are in part a huge reason why you guys are listening to me right now. Thank you very much. Now back to the show. When you started posting and you weren't being your unapologetic self,
Mhm.
was your grandma, did she like pull you aside? She's like, who's this person? Or could you tell she wasn't like vibing with what you were posting before you started posting honestly?
Not like that, but it was more just like, I'd post like say like
Yeah.
in a week, I'd post 7 videos and like the ones that she would send me were the ones where I'm being me. She's like, I loved this. This made me cry.
Mhm.
This made me happy. So like pulling from that where it's like, okay, well like I actually like making those videos more than, just doing like
Mhm.
this is my hybrid split, this, that. So I don't know. I think that like I've always valued her opinion. So like, segueing like
Yeah.
a couple years later where it's like I'll post whatever, like I really don't care. Like there's been brands that are like, yeah, we can't work with you. We don't want to work with you. You got to change this, change that. And fuck you. I don't want to work with you either. Like I want to be
Yeah.
myself. I'm not trying to be like, some monkey. You can tell me what to do.
I imagine that's quite a bit freeing as well. Like you get to work with the people who actually align with you.
Hmm.
So you have that honesty, and then you attract people. You have, a following who actually aligns with you. And so instead of having like this facade, this brand that you have to post and try to act like, you can be you in fitness, you can be you in other things as well. And that following, that culture that you've kind of cultivated around you goes with you outside of fitness, which is pretty cool.
100%. And I had a buddy ask me too, like if you, could like talk to your younger self or like give advice to somebody like getting into content, like obviously like if you're doing running and stuff, like running's not just a niche at the end of the day. Like you're the niche,
Mhm.
like people are going to follow you for you. So like you don't have to, oh, I do Ironman. So like Ironman is my content. No, like you do Ironmans, but you're the content. Like you're the niche. You just happen to do Ironmans as well. So just
Mhm.
showing who you truly are. And the big kid that comes to mind is this kid Cole Trains. I don't know if you ever seen him. He
Mhm.
he's just like this like crazy kid. Like he just like he'll like put a mask on and then they throw stuff at him and he has to guess what it is. But he's just so unapologetically himself and people and I think a lot of things too, like there's a bunch of dudes, in Austin and they post about their lives and a bunch of people follow them and even guys in Charleston are Pennsylvania, all over. But it's like a lot of times, like they see people being so apologetic to themselves, and that's why they follow and they like what these dudes are doing. Because in a way, it's like,
Mhm.
well, maybe I was like afraid to do that, or I'm afraid to do that, and I did that too. You know, like I saw all these guys, traveling, doing this, posting that, and it was like, oh my god, how could he post that? And it's at the end of the day, like, you watch a video, you scroll, you forget about it. So if you want to put some out of pocket shit out there, or really be yourself and say something that's like from the heart that other people are going to disagree with, whatever, that's you.
You started getting into fitness, 2022, you were saying.
Hmm.
Sounded like you started getting into the bodybuilding side of things. You competed in that show. What made you transition to more the hybrid? Was it that Nick Bare influence? Because you were saying you're completely right. Everybody wants to be Nick Bare. He was very popular. He still is, but
Hmm.
I think like 2023, like that was peak. Everybody was going
Oh
crazy.
yeah, that was prime. I remember like it was really, I was playing lacrosse in college, and I just quit. I was taking a semester off from school. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I just remember watching Nathan French, Nick Bare, and the hybrid space was small then. So like I just
Uh-huh.
saw like I guess like a niche that I could tap into. And I'm watching all these guys, and I loved it. Every YouTube video that came out, like I had scheduled, I was ready to watch it, eat my food. And then just came to a point where I was like, why the fuck like can't I do that? So I
Uh-huh.
just like literally went all in. And I think, with like everybody when they first start content, you get made fun of and people are sending your stuff, and it's just like, oh, like, why is he taking his shirt off? Like all this. And that just segues back to like, be unapologetic yourself. Don't give a fuck. Would you trade your life for theirs? Probably not. You probably love your life. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, at first it was like, oh, like I do want to be like Nick Bare. But, with like the bodybuilding, I think I was just trying to like do the whole hybrid thing. I ran a marathon, and it was like, oh, like what's next? Like, okay, I'll bodybuild, and then I'll do an Ironman. And I think I was just trying to do the Nick Bare thing, like, bouncing around, do all the hybrid stuff. But I think like I'd much rather find something that I'm very good at, which hopefully is going to be this ultra thing. Putting my heart and soul into it. And I think that's just more me than anything. But it's trial and error like anything else.
Absolutely. Um, just to circle back to your 200 miler that you just did, you're,
Hmm.
you're running across the state. You alluded to starting to get the hallucinations and starting to see stuff that's not there.
Yeah.
If you consume, long distance ultra running content, people are familiar with that idea. Like Courtney Dauwalter talks about it.
Hmm.
She sees like cartoon animals and things on the side of the road, and then she talks about how her friend sees like more grotesque, like dead
Yep.
bodies and carcasses and things like that. What were you seeing, and at what point did you start to see it?
So I haven't seen dead bodies or anything like that, but it was I mean, we're in the middle, bumfuck South Carolina at one point. It's just dark, and all you can see is what's in front of you with the headlamp. And my vision started to blur, so I knew that it was like, all right, like I'm probably not, in the best state right now. And then I started just like kind of like dodging things in the road, like moving over, like jumping over things. And the guy who was filming the race was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, run straight. Like, are you good? And I was like, these fucking traffic cones, man. These fucking traffic cones are everywhere. And he's like, what traffic cones? I was literally just envisioning like these traffic cones in front of me, like tall ones, up to your nuts. And I was just like hopping over, and that was like at a point where I was like, holy shit, I need to sleep. And literally like they were telling me every time I get into the van, like they're like, we could literally count back from 5 and you were out cold. So I'd get in, cross my arms, put my head back, and I was slumped. And then when I would wake up, you know how it is after a race, the next day, like you wake up and you're just like, holy shit, I'm so sore. So it's like you need the sleep, but then when you wake up from the sleep, you're just like, fuck. So like getting out of the van and running again, like, yeah, I felt good mentally, but physically, I was just like, God, like I had to walk for like about a mile or two before I could even start trotting again.
What point in the race were you when you first started seeing these traffic
I
cones?
think it was around like mile 125, maybe 110 to 125. Like there was points where it was like I'd be running and it was just like I haven't had a thought in like 30 miles. It was just like my only focus was, foot, 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 foot. And sometimes you just gotta embrace it. Like there was points where I didn't even want to talk. Like it was like I just like walk up to the van like at the next checkpoint, and I'd see my buddies, and sometimes I'd be chatting it up, other times I'd just go like this. And they knew just like,
Mm-hmm.
get the bottles, get the shoes off, change the socks. And that's a big thing too. Like I think that there was other guys who had like an awesome crew and they did great, and my guys did amazing. But like a big thing is like there was some of like the guys in my crew, it was their first time ever crewing. It's actually, I think, all of their first times ever crewing besides one guy. But they're all my best friends. So there's like those kind of things. Like I'm very big on experiences. I live with three of my best friends right now. And, just being there, like those are like memories that like I'm gonna have forever, yeah, like I ran
Mhm.
across the state, but like I did it with my best friends. And like that means more to me than, the race itself.
I think it's important too, like, part of having a good crew, obviously, you've got your friends, they know you,
Hmm.
you've been around each other for a while, they know your vibe, but a lot of it in having a good crew is, A, having people who can read you, can read your body language. Like if you're coming in low right then and they're hyping you up and they're saying it's like, hey
Hmm.
bro, like that's not the vibe right now. I'm not gonna quit, but I'm like, I don't need you to bring that energy.
No,
Just let me enjoy this suck. Let me be here right now,
100%.
and then we'll come back to a loop once I'm feeling better. So were they able to read your vibe and be able to keep you
Oh
going,
yeah, they're very good
kind
on
of
that.
doing the right
And
thing?
like they're all like extremely funny dudes. So like, even like I'm like laying there like all banged up. Like my one buddy Aaron, he's just like, I'm getting old here. You gotta hurry up. And just like that kind of stuff. It's like if it was anybody else, they'd be like, dude, I'm gonna knock you out right now. But like when it's one of your best friends, it's like giggle a little bit, your spirits come up and like that's just like perfect time for it,
Mhm, mhm. I think it's one of the main things that people who are newer to fitness or newer to struggle in general, they think they think that these people who do these amazing feats like running really far or doing these things, they think they never experience like the down low,
Hmm.
like they never experience like, oh, this is really hard, or why am I doing this, or what, how, why, like why can't I quit? They think it's all like high, they think that they're all good, they're never in pain. But I think that's a key thing to stress on for people who want to get into that space is like the people who are achieving these things aren't not feeling those things. Like they're still feeling those lows.
Hmm.
They're just not stopping in that low because they know that they may feel bad. They may be stuck for an hour, 2 hours, but eventually they're going to get back on that high again. And it's just riding those ups and downs
Hmm.
and knowing you just got to get through it.
100%. And I think too, like in those moments too, those lows, like that's where you like obviously like you want to quit the most. And I think that's where it's like very important to, have that bigger purpose. Like not even, just my Mimi. Like obviously I want to make her proud, but I got a younger brother, I got a younger sister, and they watched me,
Mhm.
do drugs in high school and just like sleep till 1 o'clock. And, my brother would tell my parents, like, I don't want to be anything like Jake. Like he's a, badass Division I lacrosse player at Duke. Like he paved his own way. He's a stud. And, for the first 22 years of my life, I don't think he wanted to be anything like me. And, now like I get to think about him in those moments where like, if I quit right now, like, I got a brother that looks up to me at this point and a sister that looks up to me. And it's like, okay, well, Jake quit this, why can't I quit that? And even like just, having my best friends there, it's just like they're literally putting their life on pause for 4 days so that I can accomplish something. Like, am I really going to give up on them right
Mhm.
now? Fuck no.
What was that catalyst? I mean, high school, not good at school, bad grades, sleeping until
Mhm.
1, doing drugs, and then now you're running these 200-mile races. What was the catalyst? What made you switch?
I think that, I mean, I still live, like, I think I, like, then I just didn't give a fuck about anything.
Mhm,
Like, my parents are divorced, my mom taught, my dad, owned the plumbing company. And, I was just like, this is a free for all, like I like would like tell them I'm going to school and I just dip and go visit a buddy at Lehigh. And then they call my mom and just be like, Jake's just like not at school. Or I'd just like go into a class and the teacher would be like, oh, you have a test. And I just walk out. And I just like carried a very, I don't give a fuck about anything mindset. But I think that the one thing that was missing was I had zero passion for anything. Um, I liked lacrosse. I think that I liked it because I was good at it. I don't know if I loved it. So like finding something that I truly love, running, like I could still, go through my life and just be like, nah, fuck that. Like I'm not doing that shit. But I have a passion for something. So it's like, at least, I luckily enough, I can have an income through running and, people sponsor and follow along in my life. But then I also can keep the part that I did love about myself without the drugs and being an asshole, but be like, fuck that shit. Like I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to do this. So I think like
mhm.
the part that was missing, just being an absolute dumbass in high school and a little bit of college, was I just didn't care about anything, but I also just had nothing that drove me. So like with running, like I think running gave me my first ever sense of purpose where it was like, wow, like this is like something where I'm actually proud. Like I think I went through a really
Mhm.
long time not being proud. And I think a lot of the I don't give a fuck was that I just wasn't really a confident kid. So, when you get into endurance events and, maybe you start winning or, hey, I did that, like you're just building all this proof in yourself where it's like, okay, like I just did this. So why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? And I think that like anybody, out of college, if you played sports or whatever, getting into some sort of extracurricular, it doesn't have to be running, but like having a sense of purpose in life, I think is like probably like I have it right here. I keep it on my laptop. It's like a grungy little note. And I have it written down. It says, success, goal plus deadline plus plan plus consistent action. Fulfillment, personal, meaningful goal plus deadline plus plan plus consistent action. Fantasy, a goal without deadline. And like, I think that like the fantasy part growing up was like, I always wanted to do something with my life, but I knew I didn't want to get a real job. Like I worked insurance for 4 days and then I quit, doing internships because I thought I had to go into finance. And like, it was just like, just roll through the motions, same thing with college, cheat on every single test, if they said you didn't have to show up, I wouldn't go. So like for something like running where I find this passion, it's like, I got to show up every single day. I got to have like that, consistent action. I got to have a plan for these goals. There's a deadline like with this race and, the personal meaningful part. Like, I think that that's like the most fulfilling thing in the entire world. Like you finish something and you're just like, fuck, I can't believe I did that. What's next?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing quite like doing something that you didn't think you could do,
Mm-hmm.
or doing something that you worked really, really, really hard to be able to do.
100%.
I mean, doing something impressive may not feel good if doing it was relatively easy for you.
Exactly.
Doing something that may be
Mm-hmm.
unimpressive that you had to work really, really hard for feels so much
Yeah. And
better.
I'm sure with you, like you got a month coming up where you have a 70.3 and a 50 miler. There's probably parts of you were just like, damn, this is gonna fucking hurt. But when both those things were done, you were just probably just like, fuck yeah, I did that shit. Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
me.
absolutely, absolutely. I've got a couple more on my calendar right up above, right above me right here that I'm looking at. I've got the Bonneville Backyard Ultra, so that's a last man standing
That's
race.
badass.
I got a Boulder 70.3 in June. I've got the Pony Express 100 miler, and then I'm still trying to figure out a day for the full Ironman.
So you're
So
balls to the wall right now.
those are, hey, dude, you got to stay busy,
You
right? Like
do.
I've done sport too.
Hmm.
I did, played a lot of football in high school and then in college, and then I started to lose my passion in football. But I found, competitive sport in CrossFit, so I started, weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, doing that, and towards the end of my CrossFit career, I hated the
Yeah.
gym. I hated being there. I would sit outside the gym for like 30 minutes to an hour before I went in because I knew, how much pain I was going to be. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't having fun. I was making everybody around me miserable because like they would come into the gym laughing and, ready to work out and, ready to train. But for me, I was miserable and I was like, this isn't supposed to be fun. This is work. This
Hmm.
is work. And I would just bring everybody down at that point. And then when I was finished, I just didn't work out,
Yeah.
didn't go into the gym for a while. And then I had to come back and I had to find something, I had to find something that I was really, really bad at. So, like for
Hmm.
me, long endurance events, because that takes away pressure in terms of being good.
Yeah.
A problem with me, and I'm sure a problem with you, is like when you want to do something, you want to be really good at it. Like
Hmm.
nobody wants to suck. And so that means I then sit down, I execute a plan, it starts consuming my life. I start getting, like doing everything I can to excel at it. But if I'm never going to be a world champion at Ironman, and I don't want to be, like I
Yeah.
don't want that physique type, I don't want that. There's not a lot of pressure outside of doing the best for the sake of doing the best for me, not
Exactly.
that external validation, which is huge.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's very true.
With your exposure to lacrosse and things like that, you're obviously very exposed to running.
Hmm.
Like lacrosse is a very, mobile sport. You guys are going up and down all the time. What do you think made it click later in your life?
I would say like, I mean, I was started playing when I was like 7 or 8. My dad put a stick in me and my brother's
Mhm.
hand, and I think that it was the competitive nature. Like, you grow up, you just compete your
Mhm.
whole life. And when I really fell out of the love for lacrosse, and I think that the main thing that I was missing was, competing. And I found that I loved, instead of competing against other people, I love competing against myself, and I think that's what running gave me. It was like you said, I went out on my
Mm.
first run, went 2 miles, heart rate like 190, 9 minute pace, and I was like, holy shit, I fucking suck at this. Lacrosse was more just like, it was like very short bursts. I played attack, so it wasn't like I was going up and down the field. It
Mm.
was more like, dodge as far as you can, try to score, and then you're out of breath. So I wasn't the best at running, but after my first run, yeah, I was like, this sucked. But I was like, okay, well, I did it. I'll do it again tomorrow. So like, I think that, just like competing against yourself every day, especially as you get older too, like, unless you want to join a men's league or something like that, having something that's going to
Mhm.
beat you up and that you could be proud of. And even just like, that morning run, you wake up, you run, like that's going to start your day off. Like that's your first win, so having something like that, especially as a man, I think like, you never really want to lose that competitive edge ever. And I'm sure even when you have kids too, it's like, yeah, maybe you're not competing anymore, but you want your kid to be the best. Like you want your kid to be
Mhm.
competitive. Like you want to raise a man. So I don't think it ever ends.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that competitive aspect.
No,
Like competition, that drive, like that's a good thing. Like it motivates you to be better. It motivates you to excel in whatever you're doing. I mean, obviously it can get out of hand if you don't rein it in.
yes,
Like I could be doing something just for fun with friends, but I want to win. Like I'm
exactly.
competitive, and if I don't win, I mean, something shouldn't be as big a deal as others. But there's nothing wrong with having that drive towards being the best.
100%. And even too, like I went home for Thanksgiving, and a kid from high school asked me because he saw that I was, living with other content creators and stuff. And I don't know, the question rubbed me the wrong way, but he was just like, does it ever annoy you, like if one of your buddies gets like a video that does better than you, or does something better than you?
Mm.
And in my head, I'm like, that's such like a fucking linear mindset. Like when you like love your boys
Mm.
and like the competing aspect of it, like you want to see everybody fucking win. Like if I have like a guy whose
Yeah.
video blows up or he smashes a race, like fucking cheer for that motherfucker. I think a lot we live in a world where like, everyone's rooting for themselves, and like, sometimes it kills them
Mhm.
to see somebody else win or somebody else do well. And that's just like I come from a very toxic hometown. So like I pride myself on, having that or having built that mindset. I'm sure at some point in high school, kid, growing up, it's like, fuck, well, that kid did that. Like, that should have been me. And it's like, no, like, I want to see
Mhm.
everyone that I love win. Like, that's like, if I have a boy who
Yeah.
crushes a race or, gets a sick brand deal or makes a bunch of fucking money, like, let's fucking go. That's a win for the team.
Yeah. I mean, people who think that way, they have that scarcity mindset
Yeah,
versus the abundance. Like just because somebody else's video blew up, or just because somebody excelled at this race, or just because somebody did something that you aspire to do, doesn't mean that you can't do that thing, or people won't clap when you do that thing. Like
exactly.
there's plenty to go around. Like sport, life, it's not zero sum.
Hmm.
Like it's abundant. And if you have that outlook, if you're able to cheer, if you're able to clap for other people, that doesn't mean you are not competitive. It just means you can appreciate what they did and appreciate what they've achieved whilst still trying to achieve it yourself.
100%. And I think that makes you an even better, well rounded person. Like, I
Absolutely.
don't, I'll
Absolutely.
never really understand, like, I mean, everyone's got, a little hate in their heart, but like, if you want to see other people lose, like at the end of the day, like you're just a fucking asshole, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Well, Jake, you are not unexposed to your own kind of unexpected hardship. Obviously, in July, 2023, you were hit by that car.
Hmm.
I saw your post on Instagram, and I'm just going to pull it up here and read the caption just so we can get it word for word. This is an extremely hard post to make. Yesterday, I was hit by a car. I was going 25 miles per hour on my bike, and a woman, without even looking, turned right into me going about the same. My face went straight into her car. My face took off her mirror. I flipped over the car and blacked out. I broke bones in my face, shattered my nose, and broke my jaw. The doctor said if it weren't for my helmet, it would have been fatal. My body couldn't be more sore. I haven't moved from my hospital bed. I'm in a shit ton of pain, but I know I'll be all right. This too shall pass, and then I'll be back in business. I go into surgery today, so that's that. But I did want to let all those out there who heard and messaged me to know I'll be all right. I'd say don't call it a comeback, but that's exactly what's going to be. I'll keep everyone updated post surgery, and I'm going to recover like a motherfucker. Obviously, the Ironman is on me, but if you don't think I'm coming back to get that shit, you're out of your damn mind. Love you guys. I'm going back to resting. Obviously, a pretty killer mindset after directly being hit by a car and breaking your
I was
face.
pissed.
Why do you think you were? Is that what it came from? Was that a post of anger? Like, were you angry? Obviously, you were training for an Ironman. You had a lot of stuff going on, and then that's derailed. But, if a lot of people, if they're hit by a car, if they're going through surgery, if they've just had this thing, they're a little bit more woe is me and less, I'm going to get back to this grind as soon as I can. Why do you think you were able to have that outlook?
I think like that was right around the time where, I started social media about a year before that. And I was posting,
Mm-hmm.
every day, like doing everything I could to, get myself out there. Like, this is who I am. Like, like, and just being, again, unapologetically myself. And, it started to build some traction. And then that was right maybe a month and a half before that was when I just did my bodybuilding show. My Mimi just passed away. I immediately, went into another prep, half Ironman, going to train for the Ironman. And I was in flow state, like I was dialed, like I was happy, like everything that I worked for felt like was coming into one. And, I just remember biking and this lady just comes out of nowhere. I slam my brakes and next thing you know, I'm knocked out. And, when I woke up when I woke up in the van, like hearing my mom start to cry and it's like, he's awake and like, all that. Like, I just remember being really fucking angry because I just knew, I knew that, life's going to be on hold again. And it pissed me off. And that was actually one of the first questions, like I'm in the trauma unit, or what was it? Asbury Park trauma unit, I believe. And I remember one of the first questions I asked the doctor was like, when can I train again? And then they were just like, relax. Like, they're like moving my jaw around. They're like, this is broken, this. And I remember the doctor writing down because they were like, oh, like the nurse was like, all right, what do we have to do? And he's like, total facial reconstruction. So I knew I was going to be out for a little bit. It just pissed me off, really. Like, I was in the hospital for, I think, 4 days. I couldn't even pee. They had to do the whole, like, the catheter thing. And even towards the end of it, like, they're like, you should stay for another day. Like, I literally was just saying to my parents, I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I just want to go home and I want to start recovering. And it just fucking sucked, to be honest. And even like when I got home, like, they were like, and in my head too, it was like, I was really fit at this point. I just came out of a bodybuilding show. I was lean. I was still doing a bunch of cardio during bodybuilding preps. Like, my endurance was high, so I could segue it perfectly into an Ironman prep. And then they were just like, you got to be better and you can't do this, you can't do that. And I didn't listen to anything. Like, because for me, it was like, okay, most doctors are going to treat me like, and I don't want this to sound cocky or conceited, but like a normal person. And in my head at that time, it was like, I felt like Superman. So it was like, I don't think I'm a normal person. So like, don't walk. So first thing I did, every morning was get out of bed with as much pain as I was in and walk to this Walgreens that was about a mile and a half away, and I'd get a Monster Energy drink and I'd walk home. So, that was my win for the day. It was like, okay, how do I get back? And then about a month later, as I'm going through, after surgery and doing my checkups with the doctors and he's doing my stitching and everything, like making sure everything's good. He was like, okay, like you can start using bands. So for me, I was like, that means I can lift light. So I started going to the gym, putting some weight on the bar. And it was just, I think, like, as pissed off as I was, I could see myself slowly coming back into form. But that process was one of the hardest things, I've ever went through. And then even for myself, I was so in love with what I was doing. And this is, like I said, like a month and a half before that, my Mimi passed away. So like, I just wanted to get back to, doing what I loved, like doing what I was supposed to do. And I don't know, it really blew. But like, yeah, I have like right now, like 7 or 8 plates in my face. I had stitching all the way across here because they had to cut my lip open here under and tape my lip to my forehead to, get all the bones reconstructed and everything. But yeah, it was a total fucking shit show. Like that pain was worse than what I just went through this past weekend. Like, that was like, I looked like that dude from the Goonies, like after surgery. Like, my shit was, it was blown up.
Like, hey, you guys.
Literally.
That guy.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What was the total time frame from like getting hit to, let's just call it like like back to full training regimen?
So I'm a very stubborn person when it comes to like athletic goals. So
Yeah.
I was gonna do the Atlantic City half Ironman, and so it was like, okay, I'll have 12 weeks to do this, from bodybuilding show until Atlantic City, and I got cleared. I want to say it was September 1st. I got hit on July 13th, so it was almost 2 months. Like I recovered very, very fast, which I was very happy. And I think that's because I was
Yeah.
constantly moving instead of just being bedridden. It was just like I'm
Hmm.
just gonna get my body into flow, get my body into flow. And then when I got cleared on September 1st, the doctor's like, just still take it easy, take it easy. And that night I went on my computer and I signed up for Atlantic City. So I was like, fuck this. I was gonna do Atlantic City
Yeah.
anyway. And I had
Yeah.
25 days to train for that. So I just put myself through 3 weeks of some pretty shitty high volume prep and then deloaded, and I didn't even tell anybody about it on Instagram either. Like I just remember posting on my story and it was just a selfie of me and it just said shit's about to go down. And then I posted that day and I was just like I think I got like a 5:38:12 was my time. And
Dang.
yeah, so that was that. But and then after that, again, my stubborn ass, I was gonna do Ironman Florida and that was 8 weeks away. And I was just like, fuck this, I'm not picking another race. Like I'm doing Ironman Florida.
Hmm.
And then just segued right into that prep and got that done.
Yeah.
And like we were looking back on it, like I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
That's savage. That's impressive. I think we almost got. I think I was like a 5. I was either 5:36 or 5:38 for my Ironman, and I didn't get hit by a car right before. So that's pretty awesome, dude.
Thank you, man.
Uh, how, how'd that full Ironman go?
Not great, to be honest. I don't think I got enough volume in. I
Hmm.
got, I think it was like 12 flat. Not that that's not a great time or
Mm,
anything, but I wanted to do, or no, I'm actually lying.
yeah.
I got a 14 flat. That was the time. Um, that back, I think it was like maybe 80 to 112 stretch. I was just down, down bad.
Hmm.
And then I got a little bit of a pick me up into the run. And then, around mile maybe 16, I was down bad again. But my whole thing for that was just like, I said I was going to do this race, months and months and months ahead in advance. So it was just like my goal was to become an Ironman. Fuck the time. I'm here. I'm putting myself through it. And I'm going to become an Ironman today. And that was kind of where the mindset was at.
That's really awesome. There's always the saying, what is it? Like people who want courage, who want to be brave, like they look at courageous people, and like courage isn't not having fear. Courage is acting like in spite of the
Hmm.
fear that you
I love
feel.
that quote.
And that same thing applies to mental toughness. Like mentally tough people don't have like soft thoughts or
Hmm.
thoughts they want to quit. They have those thoughts, but they do it anyway.
What
Like,
is it?
and so
Faking bravery is actually courage. Is that the quote?
yeah, I mean that's a great quote. I have heard that one.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, that's exactly what it is. Like people look at these things that they aspire to have or aspire to be like, and they assume that that person or that quality doesn't have the antagonistic
Yeah,
quality. Mentally tough people don't have thoughts of quitting. Brave people don't have fear. But the reality is they do have those thoughts. They just act in spite of those thoughts.
exactly.
And as you do it enough, once you act on it enough, eventually those thoughts, quiet down. Like
100%.
you have those wolves, the good wolf and the bad wolf, whatever you want to call it, whatever one you feed more gets louder and gets bigger.
Yeah.
That's everything in your brain.
Hmm.
So that's awesome. Like you're walking that walk, you're talking the talk. You got hit by a car. You had your face broken and then rebuilt. You didn't get the times that you wanted. You didn't have the time that you wanted, but you still did what you said you were going to do. And that right there allows it to be easier in the future for you to say and do what you're going to say you're going to do.
100%. And that segues back to like, I used to say I was going to do so much shit when I was a kid, and then I just never
Yeah.
did. So like, that's like a big thing that like I've developed now. Like, that's why I think it's a good thing that people do, post on social media about like, putting a goal out there. Cause like being a man of your
Mhm.
word is like, I mean, there's another quote. It's like all you have in this world is like your word and your balls. And like when you put something out, it's true. When you put something out there, it's like, what are you gonna do? Not do it? So like I think having that and then
Yeah.
having the balls to actually get it done. I always do like a quote for all my preps, and for this past prep, it's my favorite quote of all time. but it's a voluntary suffering reduces involuntary suffering. So like there was
Mm.
so many days where it's like I really don't want to run 20 miles today or do the 40 miles on this bridge or run for 12 hours as a race in between this prep. But like by doing all those things, because like, when I did like my first half marathon prep or my first marathon prep, there was so many, like I was in college, so many workouts I skipped to go drink or whatever it may be. And like I would toe the start line and I'd be nervous because I didn't put everything I
Mm.
had into it. And then now with these preps, it's like if I can put everything that I have into this prep and bully and beat and just fuck the shit out of my body, when I toe this line, it's all just excitement. Like I was so stoked to hit the start line. Like, and now like with like all these races, like I have a buddy, Eli Webby. He's a badass ultra runner. He placed 20 seconds behind David Goggins at the Moab 240 this year. And he called me and he's just like, ready? I was like, yeah, 100%. And he's like, the best thing you could do right now is just toe the line like it's just another day. All you're doing is just going on a morning run. And like, because if you overthink it, like that's not going to do you any justice. It's just going to fuck you up even more.
Mhm.
So just treat everything like it's just another day. Like it's like any run. If you go and run 5 miles, there's a point where it's going to be like this kind of hurts. And if you go run a marathon, this fucking hurts. And then when you're running across the state, yeah, this is going to fucking hurt. But if I think about it a shit ton and create all these weird thoughts in my head, like is that going to benefit me? Absolutely not.
Is there anything special about you, about David Goggins, about Eli, about people who've done these hard things that anybody else can't develop or be?
No. I think that
No.
especially in the ultra space, you got dudes like Max Jolliffe, or I think he was addicted to heroin or some drug thing that he was addicted to, and
Mhm.
Eli was big into nightlife and he did a bunch of drugs and he was all messed up. And I think like if you can just put your head down towards something, like we're all the fucking same, we all come out of the womb, we're all fucking babies. Like if you can just put your mind to something and give it everything you have, being persistent about it, like anyone could achieve these things. It's just a matter of, doing the nitty gritty and getting it done. But like, I don't think anybody's special. Like even, like you read like the David Goggins book, like Can't Hurt Me. Like when he was 300 pounds, was he special? No. Was Nick Bear special at one point? No. But it's just, being consistently good for a very long period of time. That's what's going to get you there. And I think that's like going back to the confidence thing. Like I didn't have any confidence because I had no proof in myself to be confident. But when I stacked consistent wins from pushing myself as a person, I grew more confidence. And I think that for anybody, it doesn't need to be just running. It could be anything. If you just, have your balls in your word and you do what you say you're going to do, you're going to consistently become a better, more effective person over time.
What's that Alex Hormozy quote? Confidence isn't
Mhm.
built by shouting affirmations in the mirror. It's by stacking, developing a stack of undeniable actions of you doing what you said you were going to do.
Exactly.
I butchered that, but something along
No,
that
yeah. I know
line.
that quote. That quote's amazing,
Yeah.
but it's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly true. Yeah. It's like you have to do things. You have to have that voluntary suffering. You have to have action behind your deeds, or else you're a hypocrite, or else you're a fraud.
Hmm.
And you know that.
Yeah.
And so you're less inclined to do the things that would put you in a situation to be outed by that.
Yeah.
If you've never actually done something hard, but you say, oh, I do hard stuff all the time, and then somebody says, prove it, you're de-incentivized to actually do that, versus if you actually build this stack of hard things every day, if you get uncomfortable, if you do the voluntary suffering, I mean, it's so much
Hmm.
easier. Life in general is just so much
Yeah.
easier.
100%. And this is like, this is stupid. I just find it funny. I remember in college, I was dating this girl. She thought it was ridiculous, but like I just would look in the mirror, like when I was getting into all this stuff, and you can take it as cocky or whatever the word might be. But I literally look myself in the mirror as I was getting dressed, and I'd be like, I'm him, I'm him, I'm him, and I would just tell myself that. And like
Yeah.
over time, like doing it, it's like you somewhat start to believe it. And like I mean, it goes like maybe against Alex Hormozy's quote, but I mean, if you are, saying those things in the mirror while stacking the shit that you're doing, like you're gonna believe it too. Like the more you tell yourself over and over again something,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna run this, I'm gonna do that, like, and then you put the work in, like it's just gonna happen. But I remember her looking at me like, oh my fucking god, what is this dude doing?
Hey, you got to do it. I mean, it's not when you're in a low, when you've had so many consistent days and years of not doing what you say you're going to do, starting stuff and then quitting, being average. You've got to take everything that you can to get the ball rolling. If
Mm-hmm.
that's, looking up motivational quotes, watching motivational videos, yelling stuff in the mirror, as long as you're also doing action, there's nothing wrong with leveraging motivation until you no longer need
Oh
it.
yeah.
Like everybody, motivation is fantastic to start, but it dies down. And so once it dies down, you have to have something else to rely on, that consistency, that mental toughness.
Mm-hmm.
So there's absolutely nothing wrong with leveraging motivation initially.
Yeah. And just remembering too, like it's bigger than just you, you know? So like on those days where you can't
Mhm.
believe in yourself, there's a bunch of other people fucking believing in you. And like whoever they are, like, are you gonna let them down? Like if someone, sees you as like a David Goggins, millions of people look up to him. If he just decided to quit one day, like people are gonna be like, well, fuck, well, so can I, So like,
Yep.
just like those little things like that. It's like if someone's your superhero, or someone may look at you as a superhero, whatever it may be, like you really can't give up. And then you're also just a liar for everything that you preached your entire life.
Absolutely. I wrote this quote down this morning. It's from Benjamin Franklin, but it's the things which hurt instruct. And I've got a notebook. I keep it right here. It's like daily habit
Hmm.
tracker, whatever. But in the front page of the notebook is just anytime I hear a good quote or something for the year, I write it down in
I
there.
like that.
And that one, the things which hurt instruct is so true. Like
Break that down for me.
the challenges that you face.
I
Huh?
need you to break that one down for me.
Break that one down.
Hmm.
So the way I took it to mean, so I got it from Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle Is a Way, which is obviously talking about, um, the idea like the challenges that we face in life become the thing that allow us to springboard to the next thing, that evolve us and change us. So the thing which hurts instructs, you know, whether or not you have, something at work that you don't want to do, or something that you're dreading, or, there's something in your personal life that you don't feel good about, or, you're training for something, whether that be like an Ironman or a race, and you don't want to do those runs. Those things which hurt, those things that you don't want to do, are the reason you don't want to do them, or the reason they hurt, is because there's some deficiency in your character or in something that you want to be, because people don't like to do things they're bad at.
Yeah,
People don't, you want to do something that you're good at. And so those things that hurt instruct are kind of indicators that, hey, this is a weakness for you, or this is something that you need to improve
hmm,
on. And so whenever I get those things where I lean away from, or I get, butterflies in my belly, or I don't want to do it, the other part of my brain is like, okay, like this is a light bulb. This is a flashlight on something that is a weakness for you, and you can continue to shy away from it, or you can focus and make it a strength and make it something that you're good at.
I like that. That's a damn good quote.
Yeah, right. I mean, Benjamin Franklin, he was the man.
Yeah, literally. Who would have thought?
uh, who would have thought? What's next for you, Jake?
Uh,
What's the next race? What's the next thing?
I know that I'm taking about a month or 2 months off right now.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna run. I'm not gonna run probably the next 2, 3 weeks, but just getting back into some 30-mile weeks after that, keeping my body moving, enjoying life. We were filming the documentary, and one of the questions was, who's Jake outside of running? And I think that I need to spend a little bit of time
Mhm.
figuring that part out. Obviously, I'm obsessed with running. I'm obsessed with races and training, but I do want to find what makes me happy outside of that. And I said this. I mean,
Yeah.
I love this word. It's called fuck shit, and I like I live with my best friends, and I like doing fuck shit with my best friends, whatever that may be. Going out, fires on the beach, renting golf carts, throwing shit at each other. So I think I just want to, maybe find some hobbies, figure some stuff out that I can do outside of running that are going to make me happy. And then after that little break, I want to sign up for 200 milers. There's one in March, and then I want to do one in May, and I want to win them both. That's the goal right now. And then my birthday's in June, and then hopefully I can travel a little bit in June. So I think that's going to be the agenda for now.
That's awesome, man. Having things outside of, I mean, it's important. It's important to have the things that we do be what we do, not who we are.
Hmm.
I mean, when I was competing in CrossFit, I mean, that was what I was doing. Like my entire day was revolved around that,
Yeah.
like how much I was eating, when I was sleeping, when I was stretching, 6 hours in the gym, everything was that. And when I stopped doing that, like my entire identity went out the window. I was
Yeah.
like, I got depressed. Because I didn't know what I was or what to do outside of the gym
Hmm.
and outside of that sport. And so having the ability to know yourself, know thyself,
Yeah. Yeah.
and know that this is what you do, not who you are, and having those things be is separated, I think is extremely valuable. So good on you for having the wisdom to do that and to separate those
This
things.
is the first time I've ever had that mindset because normally, like you just said, after every race I've done, I finish the next day. I'm just like, holy shit, what's next? I gotta do something. I gotta do something.
Next
And then I,
thing,
I
yeah,
get sad because it's just like I just finished this and now I don't know what to do. I don't know what to train for. So it's very like you said, I'm fulfilled to I just want to be happy at the end of the day.
mhm,
So, finding stuff outside of training that's gonna make me happy is I mean, for the first time my biggest goal is something that's not, you know, physical with running, which I'm happy
fantastic, man.
about.
Well, Jake, I've got a tradition on this podcast where I ask the guest if they had a podcast or if they could talk to anybody, assuming they were alive and well, who would that person be for you? And then I'll do my best to get them on. And of course, credit you with them being here.
Um if they were alive and well,
Yeah.
um I mean first I would say my Mimi. That would be I mean she had like the best stories ever and she was just the coolest person in the entire world.
Mhm.
In the sports realm or life realm, let me think here. Mm, Most, I'm trying to think of like the most badass person. I think one person actually would be, he's alive and well for sure. That guy's a lunatic. Would be Eli Webby. He's been like
Yeah.
a big brother to me in the endurance world. Always hyping me up. When I told him I wanted to sign up for a 100 miler, he was like, "Fuck that, man. Do a 240. Sign up for Cocodona." So like he's always like pushing me, and it's nice having
Yeah.
that, having like with my guys here, you have family outside of family, and he's definitely been a big role. So I would say Eli Webby. He's got a sick story. He's got a book called The Mask. I think it was like a Nobel,
Okay.
maybe not Nobel Prize winner, but it was some big award. And his book was awesome. And even like I changed my life when I was, in my young 20s. Like he changed his life in like his mid 30s, and he's just an absolute dog. So I would definitely say Elias Webby. He's a great dude. He came from, the pits and he was posting on social media as a nightclub promoter. He was the number one promoter in LA. Dipped off social media for about, I think, a year it was. And then he came back with a post. He's like, I've been running 100-mile weeks since. I'm going to be one of the best ultra runners in the game. And he walks the walk. And I look up to that kind of stuff. And he's
Yeah.
a very good dude. He's always just calling to check in, not just as like a friend, but as a brother. And he'd probably be the
Yeah.
he'd probably be him.
That's awesome. Well, I'll definitely reach out to him. Well, Jake, where can people follow you? I just saw your post right before this. You had to create a new YouTube account.
Dude,
Uh,
pissed. I forgot to change my school email from my YouTube, and they
mhm.
deleted the email, which deleted my YouTube. Called everybody there. I was even trying to like enroll back as a student just to get the email back to change the thing. And they were no help.
Mhm.
So excuse my language, but fuck that school. I'm off that. I'm done with that school. But new YouTube's just Jake Engelke, Engelke. TikTok's Jake Engelke, and then Instagram is Jake_Engelke.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for your time,
Thank you,
dude.
man. Thank
This
you for
was a
having me.
blast.
Appreciate it.